Bible School. This has been a project in the works, I can say, at least for 5 years. I got a prophecy 5 years ago that in the year I turned 30, that I would start a ministry school. And that it would be a pioneering type of ministry school. It would be one that fathers people, that it brings about this next reformation that we're moving in. And so it's got a heavy call on the shoulders of this school that we have. One of the differences about it, compared to a lot of the ones that are out there now that are ministry schools, we're a Bible school. Now, that's a little different. But we're not just your typical seminary Bible school either. We're a supernatural Bible school. Kind of a blending of things, because honestly, I believe if we are to say that we're going to study and believe this book and not operate in the supernatural, it's one of the weirdest forms of hypocrisy that there is. Like, I believe this book, I study it like crazy, but I never lay hands on the sick. Then what were you doing? Like, did you really read it? I know you read it in the Greek. Did Jesus lay hands on people in the Greek and the Hebrew, or did he just, study it like you did? That's a danger that has happened in so many dried out, stale seminaries. Now, I myself, both my parents graduated from Bible school back in '71. I was raised in a household that had a tremendously high value for the Bible. Everything of our life is really based on that foundation. And yet to say that we're biblical has different meanings, because for some people the concept of being biblical means I quote it whether I understand it or not, and we don't have to interpret it. That becomes dangerous, because then everybody has their own interpretation and it can be kind of weird. And yet in reality, being biblical means that you're constantly searching for truth. And you're digging, you're searching, you're finding more truth. And every time you find truth, you're willing to let go of what you thought was truth, which turns out maybe it wasn't truth. And you're willing to let go of it, and you're willing to grab onto the new truth the Lord has just revealed to you. Is this making sense? So to study the Bible means not just to learn facts, but it's to pursue truth. And every time you find truth, truth is meant to set you free. If the truth that you come to know doesn't set you free, there's something wrong with it. It's not truth. Real truth will set you free. So this is going to be a pursuit of truth, but it will also take us deeper into freedom. Every time we find another truth, we'll go further into our own freedom. So I'm going to share a message with you guys tonight that I haven't shared here at the Ark before in any of my previous times. I know we're recording the first episode of the online school, and so right now, currently, as of, June 25th, is that right? June 25th, we have 125 students online that are signed up, and they'll be watching this later. This is not live streaming, and so they'll be watching this later. Now, we will have more students than that as well as they keep signing up. And so this school tonight is sort of our trial run. And what I'm going to share with you tonight is disrupting culture. And disrupting culture is not in any of my books. It's something I've never shared here. It's something I've never aired on YouTube. It's something that I have kept kind of restricted because I'm working on a book for it, and I'm planned that this is going to be one of our biggest books that we'll release that's going to go really quite far as the impact that the Lord is going to use it for. And some of our books are very much a niche, end times or prophecy, but this one is one that we're kind of keeping under wraps. So I'm going to share with you some interesting things tonight. You guys ready? Yes. You're giving me the Alabama stare. Let's try to smile at me a little bit. So I know you're happy I'm here. So 5 years ago I get this word, in the year you turn 30. I turned 30 in March. And we've been planning this school since I got that word that we're going to do this and we're going to run for it. As of about 2 years ago, we started to make this transition to prepare for it. And as we did, we realized as we were moving forward, we're going to have to look for a place that has the media and the cameras and the support team and a place of honor that we can come and rest this as we walk it out. And we realized that this was really going to be one of the best fits for us. Actually, it really sunk in very clearly for me when I was here for the Fervent Life Conference. How many of you were here for Fervent Life? Okay, a majority. So Fervent Life was actually very personal for me as well. I didn't just come as a speaker, but I also came to receive refreshing in life, to receive from the worship. And I was in at every session and heard every speaker, laid on the floor for every worship set, and just, was here to soak it in myself. And it was really impactful for me. Not just the honor, not just the love, not just the value that this place holds, but the Lord started to do some new things in my life as well. I wasn't sure if I was going to share this or not. I typically, you've heard me many times, and those who've signed up for the school have heard me at different places, different locations, and they know that I can teach very much from my brain. And there's a mix of the Spirit in there, of course, but for me to open up and just share personal things or things that the Lord has been doing in me, it's more challenging because that kind of vulnerability is just a stretch for me. It's an area that I stretch. And so when I was here for Fervent Life in April, one of the things that the Lord did, see, how many of you read School of the Seers? Oh, just a few. Okay. So in School of the Seers, I share in there about how the Lord opened my eyes to see things in the Spirit many years ago, actually 11 years ago, how he opened my eyes to see things in the Spirit. And that book has taken me around the world, Sid Roth interviews and all that stuff. And one of the things in there that my wife shared is that it's hard to get me to share what I'm seeing. Even for her, she's kind of like, what are you seeing? What are you seeing in the Spirit? And so I don't often get into that because it's an area that's very personal. I feel it's very close to my heart. And so many years ago, when he opened my eyes, one of the things he showed me was that I have an angel that travels with me. And the angel that traveled with me at first, for the first 6 years, was very talkative. And it would talk to me. And I would hear him, and we would interact. And it was very, it wasn't Casper, but it was a friendly angel. And it was very interesting. There was one day, and I remember it was actually Karen was there for this, that the Lord actually changed out, gave me a different angel as my assignment was changing, as my calling was changing, as things were shifting in my life. And I thought it was kind of crazy. The experience was so wild and overwhelming of this shift. And the next one that he gave me after 6 years, it was almost like separation anxiety for me, because the next one is like the strong, silent type who almost never says anything to me. And yet, if I tune in my spirit and I look, he's there. And he's just like, I got you. And so things have changed, and it's been quite different. And the neat thing, too, is there's different places I go that I'll meet some other really prophetic individual who will describe to me the angel I have now, which was very confirming. He's very large, he's 8 feet tall, he looks very intimidating, he doesn't say very much, he does these different things. But someone really, really called out some information a few years ago. They said, what the Lord has given you now is a theology angel. I said, oh, what? He said, it's a theology angel. That's why it's quiet, that's why it's very reserved. And yet, he's going to start opening the word to you because of this reformation call that's on your life. He's going to begin to open things and bring revelation to you and guide you to the right books and guide you to the right information and bring that across your path and connect you with the right people. I don't lean just on angels. Don't get some warped impression here. That's not me. But the reality is they are a partnership. They are here. They're involved in everything we do as well. And we shouldn't just ignore them. It's rude. So the last couple of years, I've had this other being that travels with me, and I kind of missed the talkative one for a long time there, and getting used to this different atmosphere. And for me also, it really, I was activating less in the spirit realm the last couple of years. And I was sharing this with Marsha the other night, that when I came to Fervent Life, the Lord began to reawaken the prophetic in me and began to reopen me to the spirit realm in a new way. The last 3 times that I've gone out to speak, I've actually been blessed to stay home a lot of weekends since April because of having our baby girl and being home with family time. But the last multiple times, it's been amazing to see the Lord just take the lid off of myself, where I had, in a lot of ways, been kind of shut down toward the supernatural stuff. But the Lord just took the lid right off. And when I was here in April, one of the things that he showed me was that, and I've had multiple people confirm this, that the Lord has put another angel with me as well. And it's one of the ones I actually saw and described in Brazil. It's not literally one of the ones from Brazil, but it's one of the ones that I saw, which is engulfed in flames. And that's actually in Scripture. They're called seraphim, and that's what they mean, is fiery ones. It means an angel of fire. And so the Lord's putting something fresh into my life here as he's assigning different things that connect with my call and with my assignment on the earth. And even as we've been moving forward, that I turned 30 in March, and I come right here in April after that, and he puts this new backup that I'm feeling this real blend of the theological side that the Lord's given me, as well as the supernatural being reawakened in a new way. And so there's something that is just beautiful that the Lord's been doing in my heart and waking things up. And so I'm going to share about disrupting culture, but I want you to know that part of it is that the ark has disrupted my culture. As much as I come down from New York and try to disrupt you too. So this is a nice two-way street here, but you guys carry something that I know the Garzas have been able to pick up on and feel that same, like this is somewhere where we have to go and be involved. We have to connect with this because there's just so much here. And so often, I really felt like part of the word of the Lord to Philip and Marsha was like the disciples after the ascension in Acts chapter 1. And they're standing there looking at the sky thinking that's where the revival comes from. Jesus went up. That's where he's going to come down. Like, we'll just wait right here, and he's going to drop. And the angel next to him says, hey, what you guys looking for? And he's like, I'm right here. I'm right here, man. Stop looking up over there. The angels are saying, he'll come back, but we're here with you now. Let's go do what he said to do. And so this is the shift, I believe, for you. The word with that is that he's saying, it's not, we're waiting. Waiting is done. He's saying, even the way Jeff Thomas was saying, lift up your eyes, I'm saying bring down your eyes. And just look, because what you have right here is here. It's not about to happen, it's happening, and it's about to keep unfolding. Alice, would you like to add anything? Do you have? I feel like you do, so.
I saw today in worship that there was plates that were shifting. And I believe that the atmosphere and everything that was talked about, even in worship, it's the atmosphere that stays in this place that is causing, it's so much and it's so thick that it's causing literally the earth and the plates of the earth to begin to shift, that in the spirit, it's going to be like a shaking, and it's going to catch God's attention, like, man, something's going on there, we need to be there. But I literally saw and I felt
Yeah, it's beautiful. So, I'll just let that settle for a minute. Well, with this being said, we're going to get right into class time. So here's the concept. For those of you who don't know, just thought you were coming to a Tuesday night celebration service, what we're doing is we have people that have signed up from all around the world. I mean, literally, there are people all over Europe that are going to be students, all over the States, all over Canada, all over Russia, South America, that have signed up to be students in this school. Now, for the students who signed up, we release the videos every Tuesday night. And yet, I won't be flying down once a week to film with you guys every Tuesday night, just so you know. What we are going to do is we're going to pre-record, and so there will be about a weekend a month that we'll record a whole bunch of these episodes of the school, and then we'll release them to the online students every Tuesday night. So if someone wants to come and sit in on the live recordings just like this on that weekend of the month, it's completely free to just come in and sit in on the recordings that the students are paying for around the world. It's called auditing the class, and you're allowed to do that. But even better is if you pay for it. I know that sounds weird, but let me explain. Not just better for me, but better for you. The reason it's better is this. We have a couple different ministry schools. One's called the Apostles Theological Seminary in Jacksonville, Florida, that we are in connection with, we're in relationship with. Another is called Vision International University. And so we have these two different ministry schools that have determined that they will accept transfer credits for students that have paid and have graduated from this program. So, if you were to come that once a month, take the course with us here locally, or whether you're watching it online, and you go through all the sessions, do your homework, read the books. It's light homework because the teaching is heavy. So, if you go through the program and you graduate with us in May, the Apostles Theological Seminary, because Bishop George Curry, who actually knows he knows my material and understands the caliber of the teaching that we bring, he said he will let anybody who graduates from our 9-month program transfer to the Apostles Theological Seminary and start their master's with him. So you can come here for 9 months and skip 4 years of school. That's the level of what we'll be teaching, just to give you a little window there. Vision International University is actually the school I'm working with to get my doctorate right now. I'm a year in and I have another year or two to go to finish my doctorate program. And they're wonderful. I love them. They will give you a full year toward the bachelor's degree. So not as much credit, but they also have a very high reputation, a very high standing. I would highly recommend either program. But if you want to come for free, just come for free. If you want to actually get the accreditation and transfer your credits to one of these other universities, then sign up and be a local student. Another benefit of why it's great is that the SBS students online, they have each paid $500 for the whole 9 months. If you're a local ARC, you don't have to be an ARC member, but if you're attending the local live filmings and you sign up, we're calling it SBSX. Not like X-Men, but it's extension. The SBSX, and we have more of these classrooms around the country. There's one in Delaware, there's one in Montana, there's one in New York. They're in a lot of different places, and they're classrooms that meet together, just like you'll be meeting with me. And that classroom setting, we lower the price to $300 for the whole 9 months. So if you want to get 4 years of school for $300, just worth thinking about anyway. So we're going to be doing that. I just want to tell our students about the books that we'll be doing this fall. We're starting with 2 books by Joe McIntyre. One is called Identity in Christ by Joe McIntyre, which is a tremendous identity book. The second one is called Throne Life by Joe McIntyre. I just read it a couple weeks ago again. It's one that you want to read a few times. I actually have a friend, a pastor of a megachurch, who read both of those Joe McIntyre books in one day and said, I wish I had read these years ago, would have helped me so much with my ministry. Identity is at the core of so much of Christian life. It's so unbelievably important, and yet doesn't seem to be covered often enough. And so we start with those two this fall. Then we have the spiritual, mystical, and supernatural. The spiritual, mystical, and supernatural. In my quest to find out what had happened to me when the Lord opened my eyes and I began to operate in the prophetic and see things and all of that, I read about 150 books in the course of a couple years, digging and searching out, reading prophetic books, reading dream books, reading books about angels. And what I really found was that this was the book that was the most helpful. It's still by far one of the best books on the spirit realm and the supernatural that is out there. And so the spiritual, mystical, and supernatural by Harold Eberle is one that we'll be reading this fall. And fourthly is Heal Them All. My wife and I, we interned and then volunteered and were on staff. I traveled all over the world with Randy Clark, the healing evangelist who was the catalyst to the Toronto revival. And so we've worked the book table. We've seen all the books on healing that are out there. I've read many, many, many of them. And this one is by someone who's not really well known. Her name is Cheryl Shang. I met Cheryl Shang 14 years ago. She came to a small local church near my house. She was doing a workshop on healing, inner healing, and prophecy. And I went and attended the whole weekend. And it was actually the first time I ever saw a healing. She had someone who had a problem with her ankle, an older lady sitting up front in a chair with a problem with her ankle, and she said, can I have a volunteer who'd like to come pray for healing? And I'm about 17 years old or so at the time, and I hopped up, I'll pray for healing. I've never done that before. And I run up and get in my spot. Okay, what do I do? And I kneel down and I put my hands on her ankle and I pray over her ankle just like Cheryl said to, say this, command this, do this whole thing. Okay, awesome. Okay, now what? Okay, she has to stand up and try it out. Okay, so she stands up. And I remember her walking across the front of the little church, walking back to me and going, it's all better. There's no more pain. And that was the first time I ever saw a healing when I prayed for someone. I had never, had ventured out before that to pray for healing for someone. And so that has had a deep impact in my life. And this book that she wrote is tremendous. It really launched me into healing ministry, into a love for healing. And, it's just one we highly, highly recommend. And so we have these 4 books we'll be covering this fall, and that is our homework, essentially. Come to class, read the 4 books this fall, and that's your homework for the fall semester. Starting in January through May, if you were here for Fervent Life, you heard my message where I talked about the new covenant. Yes, nod your head. Okay, this means yes. Okay, so that message on the new covenant, which I kind of explode so much information in 90 minutes and then go, I'm going back to New York, see y'all. And what I'm going to do from January through May is I'm going to take you through the covenants. We're going to start right in Genesis, we're going to go all the way to Revelation, and we're going to walk through the covenants, through the scripture, because I believe it is the key to understanding the whole Bible is covenant. Because everything that God does is that he comes into a covenant relationship with a man or a woman, and he comes into that covenant relationship, and then he makes promises, and those promises are walked out. I think that there's so much there. I'm really excited to get to January. Between now and January, we're going to be doing sort of topical teaching. We're going to cover prophetic. We're going to cover inner healing. We're going to cover a lot of kingdom topics. But when we get to January through May, we're going to be just focusing and going straight through the whole Bible.